Dude, I have a Bobcat Snuggie. It is awesome.
I want to hate on you for that, but I can't. I want one.
Welcome back, everybody, to the R&R Cat Cast, coming fresh out of a Cat Griz win. How you doing, Thorny?
Man, I am doing awesome. That was a great win. And I just watched the ending of that Rams game. I'm a Rams fan. Double good weekend for me.
Attaboy. It does feel good. We've had our share of coming to this podcast where we have talked about licking our wounds, but it does not feel like that one bit today.
No. This is probably the best mood I've been in. I mean, how could you not be in a good mood after Saturday? My goodness, the Miracle in Missoula. I'm not sure how I feel about that moniker, but pretty awesome regardless.
Yeah. So you have a cold beer on tap. I have a cold beer on tap. Let's share what we got.
Well, I was at the grocery store. I picked out this beer. Kind of had Troy Anderson in mind, to be honest with you. It's called.
Hold on. Let me guess. A Troy Anderson inspired beer. I have nothing actually.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a Washington beer. It's called the Magnificent Bastard Scotch Ale. So I was like, well, I'm going to preemptively buy this in case we win Cat Griz. Might have been a little cocky on my part, but hey, worked out. And I'm not sure who I'm going to give who I would call the Magnificent Bastard. I might just call Jeff Choate the Magnificent Bastard of that game. But anyway, it's a Scotch Ale from Bremerton here in Washington. And, it's all right. It's got like the lion sigil thing, kind of like a Stroh's can type thing on it. So pretty exciting.
Going to old school with the Strohs. I mean, that harkens back to freshman year at Montana State. God.
Yeah, we called that pork chop in a can when we drink that. It's so heavy.
Yeah.
It's filling. It's a meal in a can. What are you drinking?
Well, my wife picked this up and she vowed never to get it again. I don't think it's that bad. It's one of those Trader Joe's house brand beers. It's called Botswan American IPA. It's all right. I didn't make any special trips this week to go get any kind of different beer. So that's what I'm drinking tonight.
I had
pretty, I don't know, vanilla IPA, if I would call it that.
Yeah, I'd probably like it because it's probably not slap me in my face bitter. So
no, it's kind of like as when you're reading the label, it does kind of makes sense. It's more malty than most IPAs I've drank. So that's where it's at.
Well, man, how about that game? I know we're going to talk about it, and I'm just still giddy about it. I'm just wow. Pretty epic ending there. I can't believe the series of events that led to the ending of that game, the ups and downs of that roller coaster of those last few minutes. But
you know what I wrote down? It kind of felt like to me like how a Rocky movie plays out in the final fight.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't argue with that. So probably get into the stats here real quick like I like to do here. Stats pretty much evened out because I know what do we have, 50 yards of offense in the first half, down 22-0 right before halftime there, before we pulled out that incredibly crucial score before halftime. But we ended up 20 first downs, 22 for the Griz. Total yards evened out pretty close, 454 for the Griz, 387 for us. I mean, high 300s, that's about par for the course for the Cats, I think. It's about what we do. Mm-hmm. But considering I don't even know how much of that was in the fourth quarter, at least 200 of it, I'd have to guess. Penalties were definitely a little problematic. 7 on our side for 60 yards, 3 for 30 for the Griz. I mean, the 2 fumbles obviously being the biggest key in this game. Time possession pretty even. Third down possessions or conversions identical, 6 of 14, except theirs were 3rd and 300 miles, constantly picking those up. That was fun to watch. But really, I mean, pretty even game. They didn't have any sacks, but that's pretty common for teams playing against Troy Anderson because he's only been sacked, 9 times all year? Or I guess the Bobcat quarterbacks have been sacked 9 times all year. Excuse me. We don't even have 10. We're in single digits. We did get 4 sacks, and that did break your bold prediction of 2. So kudos to you. My bold prediction of Isaiah Alphonse and Troy Anderson going over 125. Troy almost got there. Alphonse, not so much. I think he ended up with like 60, 70 yards, something like that.
Yeah.
Somewhere in that range. So overall, like, I mean, it took us a while to get going, but the way that the third and fourth quarter played out is kind of how I thought the game would go, which is kind of why I made the bold prediction. I just thought we would have more success running the ball out of the gate, but I got to give a lot of credit to the Montana defense. They really came out fired up, and they were flying around, and they were making plays right off the bat.
Yeah, I was really put in my place. First half of the ball game, I was just like, man, this feels so familiar. Like when they were going up on us and they had all the momentum, I'm like, it was like, I didn't text you about it, but I was just feeling like, man, I've been here so many times before. Like underwhelming play by the Bobcats in an important game, So that just felt all too familiar, and man, it was really disappointing to say the least.
Yeah, it's hard not to get that little nagging voice in the back of your head, like, oh, here we go again. As much as excited as you are coming to the game, you're thinking we match up well. It's just hard to shake the fact that guys are ass kicked so many times by the Griz. I'll just come out and say it. We have, and it's tough to just not think about that when you're down 22-0. Like, well, shit, I was at a watch party in Bellingham, and it's like, guys, this sucks. I don't want to be in a sea of Griz fans. I mean, there was equal parts Griz and Cat fans there, but I just don't want to deal with the cheering and the taunting. There was no taunting, but I just don't want to be there. When you're down 22-0, getting your butt kicked, it's just like, I'm just going to go home at this point, but glad that we pulled it out. And there were some key plays that really kept us in this game. I thought Travis Johnson had his best game as a Bobcat. I know he had that one kind of a crucial drop there, but I think he made up for it on like a third down catch on the sideline where he was draped by a Griz defender, and he went up, snagged the ball a pretty high point, kept in bounds, like pirouetted, and got like 5 or 6 more yards for the first down. That was such a crucial play in the game. I mean, it was just Johnson definitely gets my offensive side of the game ball. So, yeah, I don't know. It's hard for me to keep my thoughts organized on this one. I'm still just like pretty excited about it.
A couple things that stood out to me was how bad Kevin Cassis played for the first half of that football game. Thinking about how he picked up that punt.
Yeah.
And then he had a couple missed passes where like he was, hit him in the hands or, could have gotten it. And those were crucial plays. And then you think about Johnson. He had that huge third down pass. It just went right in his hands, I mean, that kind of stuff, when the Grizzlies were rolling, we were doing nothing but shooting ourselves in the foot. We had 2 false start penalties on first downs. And so, we get back into the first and 15. I mean, we couldn't get out of our way. And it was just like, we've seen that tape before. We've played that game too many times before. And so I was just super frustrated when I was watching that kind of stuff. I was like, players need to step up. And they eventually did. And that's the cool thing about this team. One thing that was different from the Kramer era to the Ash era, this team has more mental toughness and fight and tenacity than any other team I've seen as long as I've been a Bobcat. And that's saying something. So that's really cool to see.
It is. And like Choate brought up in his press conference about, he just feels like the culture has shifted more in like the last month than it has even in the last 2.5 years leading up to it. Like you just kind of sense the team really buying into it, coming together, and they never consider themselves down. You talk to the players, they're like, oh, we're going to get this together. The guys were talking to each other, like, let's all make plays. Let's get this back on track. Like they never counted themselves down and out in this game. And it showed. Like they just kept chipping away, storming back, finally started making some plays and got themselves back in the game. It was just fun to watch. It was just really, I'm proud to be a Bobcat for for those guys fighting for each other, for the university, for the pride of Montana, and bringing the trophy or keeping the trophy in Bozeman. It's like, man, you have to be proud of those guys for the way they fought.
Oh, absolutely. And not only that, through the whole month of November, Mike Kramer used to call this the big man month.
Yep.
And I always make comparisons back to the Ash era. And we always would just, dwindle or feather out in the month of November. And we've played our best ball. I would say right now we are playing our best ball, which is not something I can remember us doing at the very end of a season where we're peaking at the right time. And, 3 weeks ago, you and I were talking here on this CatCast, straight off a loss from Idaho State where, as Choate said, coulda, shoulda, woulda, not thinking we had a snowball's chance in hell to make the playoffs. And here we are, and we just kept chipping away, as you put it, took care of business, and look where we got. And couldn't be more excited. I love the fact that we're in the playoffs. It's been on my mind since last week. I thought we were going to win the game all last week, and so my mind was racing ahead to the playoffs. I had to temper my spirit a lot in that, but that's where I was living mostly last week.
How many times in Hauk's first run did the stars seem to align for the Griz? Like they'd be like teams would lose, and all of a sudden, instead of like going on the road in the first round, the way things shook up, they'd get a home game, and there'd be an upset and somewhere else in the field. So then they get a second round home game because the seeded team lost. It just seemed it's like maybe this is the year things kind of happen for us like that, like just the crazy way that the landscape shaped out the last few weeks. North Dakota losing to NAU. Idaho State losing to Weber State. That was kind of expected, but I didn't really think. The walk-up Sky Dome, I guess, is one of the hardest games to play. Shout out to Jerome Sowers. He's retiring, so just wanted to point that out here real fast. He's had a good career down there, but
quickly.
Yeah.
Quick prediction. Do you think Greg Rack puts his name in for that job?
I hadn't considered that. Maybe. Yeah. I'd give that a solid maybe.
I think he does. I think he's going to probably put in his name for any head coaching job in the Big Sky.
Well, I was just thinking sidebar upon your sidebar. If the Griz fire their defensive coordinator, it's like, does Greg Rack have any chance in hell of going back to Missoula under Hauk?
Well, that's crossed my mind before. I would highly doubt that.
I would highly doubt it too.
I think
he'd be like the most hated second most hated man in Montana history besides Ryan Leaf.
I think he's here. I think he's here for the duration. Making that move laterally, he has a really good, relationship with Choate. He did not have a good relationship with Stitt, and he had a great relationship with Hauk, I assume. But I don't think that's enough to make him, go. So
no, there's a lot more
trajectory of our team, the future of our team. Why wouldn't you want to be on this? Why wouldn't you want to be with the Cats right now? There's naysayers out there, but like we talked about it, and this is something I really wanted to talk about today. Prior to these podcasts, and even during these podcasts, we've been waiting for this defining moment. We've talked about,
yes,
is this a defining moment?
Well, it's hard to say it isn't. Can you think of any more defining moment than stuffing your rival on 3rd and 1 from the 6-inch line, causing a fumble, winning the game, keeping them at home, and going into the playoffs because of that fumble?
I really can't. It was such an amazing moment when I went to school today and I was teaching my classes. I even pulled it up on the Twitter to show them. My 6th graders, they're not invested in the Cat Griz. I was like, have you guys ever heard of the Cat Griz? They're like, no, what are you talking about? But they have some football fans, and I pulled up that moment, and so I annotated the moment for them, and what I was doing in my life. Like I was running around my house like a crazed man, screaming, scared my mother-in-law, who happened to be in the house at the time. And then she started laughing. She pulled out her cell phone, started filming me, sent it to my mother. I mean, it was just, and then I ran outside, yelled, called you, continued to yell on the phone.
I know. I wish I had recorded your just basically just screaming for about 6 seconds.
Oh man, I was a total
Pretty
wreck
excited.
that game, just a total wreck. And so
I know
I
you
was
went like
literally
MIA on the went MIA on the text thread for like most of the game.
Well, I'll be honest.
No response.
And I will tell everyone who's listening to this, I couldn't watch the game. And this is one of the few games I can't bear to watch. I get too nervous inside. I let it go past. I kind of follow the updates on my phone, and then when it comes back around, I'll go back and watch it again. And you call me a bad fan, call me what you want, but I can't take it. So I was out in my garage. I was rearranging my garage. I vacuumed out both cars. My mom had sent me a birthday present that came at halftime. I didn't know she was sending me this. It was a Bobcat flag. I sent you a picture of it. I had that thing up, bolted to my house by the end of the first drive, or by the end of that final drive. I'm calling it my lucky charm. It's still flying. I still haven't taken it down. It's still out there.
I wouldn't take it down until we lose the season. I mean, that is clearly, we talk about superstitions. That's clearly the good luck flag right there. Don't touch that flag.
Absolutely.
Don't you even think about it.
In the middle of the game, I was like, I got to get this up before the end of the game. We started making a comeback right when I opened it up. I was like, I got to get this up. And so I got out my drill, went outside. I was like, well, where do I find a place to do this? Obviously I got this new house, found this perfect place to drill it in, piloted the holes, sunk the screws in, raised the flag up. It is awesome. So you know what?
Nice.
I'll post that picture on our CatCast Twitter account, and so everybody can see it. It was really cool. So
our Baker's Dozen fans followers on Twitter will appreciate that.
Shout out to my mom. Thanks, Mom, for sending me that flag. It was timely. It was awesome.
Yeah, nice.
So yeah, there I would come back into the house, and I was like, no way. And then we were getting all these plays were happening, and we hit the turnover on Snead, and we just kept marching. And all of a sudden, the momentum was with us, and I was just super excited. And then
go ahead.
Sorry, we score, we go ahead. And then I couldn't do it. I was like a cat on a hot roof, man. I was like running inside and outside the house, hiding behind the couch, peeking over to see the score. I'm the worst fan to watch a Bobcat game with. And then on Sunday, once the whole thing transpired, I checked Root and I was like, okay, I gotta watch it now, just so I can get like some good talking points when I talk to you.
Yeah. You're getting worked up just talking about your story about getting worked up.
Oh man, yeah. I'll be way more calm this weekend, and every other game this year. I've gotten better. This has been a struggle for me for years now, honestly. But I've gotten better this year, knowing I would have to talk to you and go through this game and deliver on the CatCast, and so it's been getting better for me. But when it came to this game, I knew I was just going to be too geeked up, as Choate would say.
Yeah, well, guys came out kind of geeked up, I think. Oh, actually, no. I would say that Choate said the guys kind of came out flat. He said they even felt kind of flat pre-game, and he wasn't quite sure what to attribute that to. Maybe just the way the game kind of was getting to the guys or something like that, but kind of came out flat. I mean, I guess Troy kind of came out, I would say, geeked up because he's always geeked up, but it just seemed like we were just ready for anything that first half. And I could not really envision much of a worse half of football than that. I'm glad that we held them to 22 points because there was a few opportunities for them to extend that lead. But we were able to at least score at the end of the first half, which was probably the first sign of life we had all game where I'm like, all right, maybe I can stick around, see what happens in the second half. And God, we cannot keep giving up though. 3rd and 8, that one drive where they just had 3 3rd and 17, and one was like a 3rd and 19.
Mm-hmm.
We had that's the weirdest drive you've ever seen. It was like 3 sacks on that drive alone, getting them into 3rd and 19s and whatever, and they convert 3 of them.
Yeah.
Just ridiculous.
Maddening.
Just ridiculous. But we held them to a field goal.
I know,
that
right?
really was kind of a weird victory. I mean, that was kind of, what was the score at that? That was 25, so it was 25-15?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that was a crucial drive for them because that extended it to a 2-score game instead of 22-15. That made it a 10-point game, so that definitely made it a 2-score game. So that was a big drive. Like, that was, as crazy and weird as it was, that was very important for them. But we were able to overcome that. But we have to get better on that third down defense. I don't understand really what we were doing. Like Snead, I give Snead all the credit in the world. I don't know if I'd say I was wrong about him because I didn't really talk too much about him necessarily, but he definitely impressed me.
Well, he had that Houdini play during that drive too, where we had him in his grips on a third down, and he just slipped right out of it, and he completes one of those long passes, and it was just so maddening. I was like, "Are you serious? Like that 3rd and 19, and they get like 23?" I was just like, we missed 2 tackles. Like we hit each other essentially. Conkle and some other guy come in, and I think it was Filer, missed a tackle because basically they shed each other off each other, and I can't remember if it was Kim or who caught that, slips that and then fights for another 4. And you're just like, are you kidding? It was ridiculous. That was wild. And that goes back to, you and I always say, it's never as good as it appears, and it's never as bad as it appears. I don't think the Griz were as good as they appear. I think those 3rd and 18s and 3rd and longs, there's a little bit of element of luck in there. And, granted, I'm going to give Steve props. He was a gamer for sure, and he completed those passes, but that's not going to happen again. You string together 3 3rd and longs, extra longs, and, make those happen. Yeah, I just don't see that happen. And go back to the first half, too. The Cats were really shooting themselves in the foot. We're not as bad as we appear on that first half. And the Griz, they were just riding the momentum they had, like they've had all year. They've been a really strong first half team, and they were looking to. Somebody said, I can't remember who was it. They're like, Bobby Houck's an ass or something for trying to go for that 2-point conversion. I kind of liked it, honestly. If you're rolling and you have a chance to kind of send a message a little bit that you run a 2-point conversion and convert it, that's sending a message in my book. That's saying like, we're here to smother you and not let up on the gas. And so I applaud that gravitas it takes to do that in that moment. I like that play. So, but
I mean, that's the kind of mentality it takes to. What did he lose? 1 conference game in 3 or 4 years when his first stint around? Like, that's the kind of mentality you need.
Exactly.
I mean, you got your foot on their throat. You don't just let go. You just finish it. You just stomp it in more. I mean, and that was as much as I hate it, I do not think it was classless or anything like that. I was maybe ballsy because if he misses it, we get a little bit of momentum back from it. Not much, but he gets it, and it just keeps the hits just keep coming. Like he's just sitting, like he doesn't want us to get off the mat.
But we did, man, and that is the coolest thing. I cannot believe the fight in that Bobcat team because it's not something we've seen in the modern day Montana State. I mean, a little bit. Okay, so I can't say that because Choate's teams have had that little element of it. But how many years in past teams have we watched just wither once they've gotten down to that point? If 22-0 for sure, past teams would have we would have finished that game, 34-10, something like that.
Yeah.
Man, we fought and fought and fought, and there is where I think Troy Anderson has been, the most invaluable person, I think, to this team. And I have fought it all year long. I have fought it all year long. And
you've been so reserved on the podcast, but outside the podcast, you've been pretty unhappy with the whole situation.
Oh gosh, he is just a winner. And Choate Choate said in this presser today, and this is one thing I wrote down. Quote, he says, somebody asked him, I think it was Paul. Paul asked him, and I apologize if this wasn't Paul, and Paul somehow listens to our podcast, but he said, what was going back in the season and making the decision on Troy to play Troy, reflect on that. And Choate, not batting an eye, says, I never really second guessed it. The kid's a winner. Winners win. And I was like, he didn't. Choate never wavered. And we all sat here for so many weeks. We're like, no, just put Rovig. And they were going to go with Rovig had he not gotten hurt. But, we sat here in just frustration for the whole month of October saying Troy Anderson is not working out in quarterback. And it wasn't. And who said maybe that's Bob Cole's fault. Matt Miller has really kind of helped match those deficiencies. But man, Choate never strayed from his cards right there, and we couldn't. I don't think we would win that game with Troy Anderson is not our quarterback. Honestly, it just takes that kind of person to say we're going to go get this done. I think Grant Collins and Tucker Yates were those guys on the defense, but Troy Anderson's that guy on their offense, and you need those people in there.
No, he absolutely was. He's a winner. I mean, there's really no way to put it. You can rag on his passing skills, his progressions. I mean, all the intangibles that make him a the intangible, like just the physical tools that make him a quarterback. But it is those intangibles, the leadership quality, just the guys just believe in him. They know that he's going to get it done or he's going to will the team to victory. And it's not even just it's not like a Kobe Bryant situation where he just takes the game over and everyone just sits back and watches. It's just that he galvanizes everybody to do their part. And if that means he goes for a big touchdown run, that's what it is. But it never feels like it's the Troy show in a selfish way. It just feels like he's just taking control and gotten everyone to buy into him taking the game into his own hands. If that makes any sense. That's kind of a weird way of phrasing it, but I don't know if that makes any sense.
No, he's the epitome of a selfless player. He's the epitome of a Bobcat. He's the epitome of what Choate wants the team to be. And I think they have bought into that more than any time I've ever seen. So
yeah, he's a magnificent bastard, that's for sure.
Bravo. Here's to you, Troy.
Wow, yeah. How about all right, so we kind of talked a little bit about the game moving forward. I want to touch on one last thing. Tucker Yates just throwing that center or whatever just to the ground like a rag doll. I don't think I've ever seen an offensive lineman owned so badly in my entire life. And have you seen that replay where he just it looks effortless. He just moves both hands and just the guy just falls over.
I watched it 20 times, dude. I've watched it 20
It's incredible. Times. It's incredible. Tucker Yates is just all right, I got this. Just throws the guy to the ground, just launches himself at Eastwood, sticks him. I guess there's still a debate on whether the fumble was caused by Yates or Collins. I guess most people are thinking Collins caused it, but it doesn't matter. I don't think if he doesn't make that hit, the fumble doesn't come, period, whether he actually causes the fumble or not, but he initiates the sequence that leads to the fumble. So, and yeah, Collins and Yates, two senior leaders, just getting it done. I just can't believe that happened. I just jumped out of my seat at the watch party when that happened. I could not believe what just happened.
How many times does that play go against Montana State in our lifetime?
99 times out of 100.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I was a crazed man. I scared everyone in my household. My little son, my 2-year-old, was just sitting there looking at me wild-eyed, and I run up the stairs yelling and screaming. I don't know where to run. I'm in my house. There's confined spaces, and so I turn around. I run back down the stairs. My mother-in-law jumps out of the way. I run outside. It was, and then I had to stop. I go, I gotta go see that play again. I run back inside. It's show me the replay. Of course, they show you the replay. Holy smokes! What an amazing play!
Weren't you concerned they were going to review the fumble there?
Oh no! Well, once I saw it in replay, I was like, "That's easy. That's that was a fumble. But I mean,
It's clear. I'm just saying you just ran around.
no, I was more nervous that the two plays after that, it looks like Troy Anderson botched the snap on both of those kneel down plays at the very end. I guess we couldn't kneel down that very first play. We needed to gain maybe a yard and a half to get a little bit more breathing room. But it looked like we botched both of those snaps. And then Bobby Houck mentioned it in his post game presser as well, that one of them, he's like, wouldn't that be the deal if we had one play on the 2-yard line, 2 seconds left? I was like, whew, I'm glad Troy got on that. No doubt Troy would have gotten on that, but it was not a clean snap at the very end.
No, but I definitely everyone was kind of still celebrating there at the end there. But I was at the watch party and I saw him call that timeout. I booed. I loudly booed. I don't like it when coaches call their last timeout in a safe face to say like, "Oh, I used all my timeouts and everything I could," kind of way. Yeah, I guess maybe miracles can happen. Have you ever seen a botched victory formation in any years watching football at any level?
No, but when it comes, I mean, man, we've been stung so many times as Cat fans. I don't put anything past it.
No, I wasn't.
But you know what? We got to start
that.
taking that mentality and throwing it out the window, because that's not a winning mentality. We need to, and I think that's what we're going to. This whole transition, it's not from just culture for a football team. It's the culture of the fans too.
Yeah.
Stop playing the weak mentality of, oh, woe is us. We need to start having that dominating attitude. So,
well, that's kind of a nice segue into the next point I wanted to talk about. It's just like, what does this win mean for the program?
I'm glad you brought that up, because that question is this that moment, that defining moment? It certainly can be. I think it is. But I was playing a little devil's advocate with myself earlier today on this. Choate's won all of his Cat Griz games, so he's producing the Cat Griz game. I've still been waiting for this moment, like let's say in mid-October when we're playing Weber, when we're playing Eastern, when we're not supposed to win. And granted, we weren't supposed to win this game. We were slight underdogs and maybe major underdogs compared to who you're talking to. I don't know. It feels like the moment, but I don't know. I think it is. I think this is bigger than what I'm feeling now. I think this is bigger than what I'm feeling now. Just that moment that, there's no way this is going to happen, and they got it done. They actually got it done on the big stage. I think that's going to. Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah, I don't feel that this was some sort of like we came together for one magical 17 minutes of football and beat the Goliath team, and now we're just going to go back to being David. I think this was a culmination of preaching his culture, teaching it, sticking to the program, to the process. I think this was just kind of a culmination of all that, and I only think it's going to continue. I think we'll know more about whether this was that kind of moment or just a flash in the pan next week, if we can carry the momentum into a winnable home round, first round home playoff game. So that's going to say a lot about whether this was truly a program swinging moment or not. But on the surface, just at a glance, it seems like that is definitely something that means so much more than just the third win in a row against the Grizzlies. It just seems like this could be the starting of Choate really walking the walk, I guess you could say. Like he's talked the talk for a long time. This could be walking the walk.
And if that's true, we win big on Saturday. This could be like, remember Furman in 2006?
Yes,
we won
sure do.
Like 31 or 16. And I remember Big Lou Suacido, yep, standing on 50-yard line, waving that big flag, Montana State flag after the win. Jack Rolovich had yards upon yards just passing that game. We just waxed them. And then we go off to Appalachian State. and then Michael Jefferson.
Don't say it.
Yeah,
Don't say
okay.
Michael Jefferson. The pass, the wide receiver pass.
And it's so weird because you look back on that score, we lost like 38-14 or so, something like that.
No, it was closer than that, but
it wasn't that much closer though, and it was totally skewed right after that. But that's that mental. They weren't mentally tough. If you're almost in the game, in the third quarter, and against a team like Appalachian State, and then you fold like that, that's not being mentally tough. Getting waxed by Sam Houston State is not being mentally tough after winning like a hard fought, Stony Brook contest or New Hampshire contest. That's not being mentally tough. And so that's one thing I really look forward to seeing in the playoffs right here is, there might be some adversity, and I'm sure there is going to be some adversity on Saturday. But what I saw from the team on Saturday, I don't think it's going to get any more adverse than that. We're playing at home, and if we get into a pickle like we were down 22-0, well, guess what? We've done it, and we've done it in the belly of the beast, and so we better be able to do that at home as well.
Definitely, and you hope that the team has yet again learned that you can't just come out and concede a half of football, which is kind of just what's happened over several times over the year. You would think if there's one time of the year where you're going to come out fired up beyond all belief, I'd rather have us too fired up than to come out and just look flat like we did. So I'm expecting a big first half, even though I know from what I've read, Incarnate Word is also kind of a first half team a little bit as well. But we can't come down and get down 21-0 to the top 10 scoring offense in the country. We can't do that against them. Like the Griz are one thing. Against a team that is used to scoring points in bunches, a little bit different. But to kind of circle back to that, before we get too much into the Incarnate Word game, is that this was the biggest win we've had yet under Choate, but it's such a weird dynamic to think that these big wins have come against the Griz, but no one else. That's like the complete opposite of like Rob Ash.
I know. And that's what I just keep thinking about. I'm still waiting for that moment. And that moment, and to be honestly, if I'm really just being honest with myself, I'm still waiting for that moment. And that we talked about that just now. This could be that thing, but I'm still waiting for the non-Grizzly. Let's just make our stamp kind of moment. So.
Well, this one vaulted us in the playoffs, so that one's a pretty big moment for sure. So How much have you had a chance to read about Incarnate Word?
I've probably devoted a half hour in my life.
I was kind of curious because, I've looked a little bit too. I was wondering how much you've had a chance to. This isn't the big thing that we do on the show. We talk about the next opponent, but we don't really dig down deep into it. But it sounds like they have a pretty damn good offense and a pretty damn good quarterback and a passing attack. I know the Southland teams always do though, so take that with a grain of salt. But we struggled with Sam Houston State, and they seem like they might be similarly built, except Sam Houston State. Those teams had pretty solid defenses, and they appeared not to have very good defense. But what are your initial thoughts on the matchup?
Well, what I read about them and what I've seen is their coach comes from the same tree as the Mike Leach. He played for them and coached with them, as far as I can tell. Am I right on that?
I believe I heard that.
Okay.
Yeah, I've definitely heard Mike Leach coaching tree for sure.
All right. So, being a Coug fan myself, and watching Gardner Minshew and the Cougs just roll through the Pac-12 this year, what they really look for in the air raid offense, if you really break down the air raid offense, and here comes the fans' perspective of the air raid offense, is what Minshew is really looking for is space. And that's when they find the receiver. So they're looking for and the receivers are looking for open space. So if they're playing like a zone defense, space is easy to find because you just got to find the space between the zones. If you're playing man, you just got to beat your matchups. And so that's one thing I think we've struggled with in the back end is giving up pass plays and that scares me a little bit because that's basically what they're probably going to try to do is run the air raid offense, look for the matchups. It's a box count kind of thing. And as they say, but Choate said they'll sprinkle in some of his, it's not a true Mike Leach offense. They'll sprinkle in like some power. They said some different running concepts. So, but the passing definitely concerns me. And, Tyrell Thomas, I don't know how healthy he was. He got picked on for sure in the Cat Griz. I guess he'll probably feel a little better this week, but we got a tall task ahead of us for sure.
Well, he almost came in with 2 picks and definitely had one that he should have picked. And the other one, he could have made the interception, and it actually looked like he was going to land in bounds, but he tried to throw the ball back into the field of play.
Yeah, he was never going to get his feet down. But
he actually came pretty close. I don't know if you watched the replay. He was really close to doing that. Mm-hmm. I think he had a chance to get his feet in bounds. So it was a pretty risky play to try and chuck it as hard as you can back into the field, hoping that your guy gets it. But he made some plays, but he got picked on too. So, but we definitely need him to be healthy.
Well, our DBs have done well this year. Maybe I'm just a little snake bitten by them in years past, but I just don't feel like that's been our strength. But it's better this year than it has been. But one thing I do know is their quarterback for Incarnate Word has 22 TDs, but he also has 13 interceptions.
Well, they are. Where are my stats? They're 17th in the country in turnover margins. So if you're telling me that they turned the ball over, they're also 3rd in the country in turnovers forced. They forced 29 turnovers on the year. And a lot of those I know are interceptions because they get teams into kind of a track meet where they're up by a couple of scores and teams are forced to pass against them. And that's when they can kind of tee off on the quarterback and make some interceptions, but which they won't get against us. We might throw one. I'm not going to say we're not going to throw an interception, but we're not going to likely get into a throwing the ball 35 times a game. So their DBs are just waiting for the ball over the field. We're going to keep doing what we're doing. So I'm a little concerned about that, though. They are definitely winning the turnover battle all year, and we're plus 11 on the year, so we're not bad ourselves. But that's going to be yet again shocking analysis. Turnover battles pretty important.
You know what? We have some patterns that I've noticed. And the first half of the ball game, for offense and defense, we go pretty much as vanilla as possible. So I predict we play base defense come first half and we have some sort of mix it up after halftime. But I also predict that we're going to try to just do our run game right away in the first half. And you saw in the second half, and Choate alluded to it, we had to open up the playbook a little more. You know what? And it seemed like Troy Anderson did a lot better passing in the second half when we did open up the playbook a little bit more, and we had to pass. And so
he had some good passes in the first half, but his receivers weren't helping him out.
Oh no, with so many drops, and that's one of the things I was dogging on Cassis, and he deserves some criticism. He made some bonehead mistakes, but we need to. Gosh, I don't know if we need to. They're going to see if we can just dominate with the run game, kind of like Cal Poly. Can we do that to them, or the way we did, like UNC? Although UNC played the run pretty good there for a while, but we'll test those waters, and then we'll decide on whether or not we have to open up the playbook a little bit more from there. So,
I had been wanting to touch on this from the Griz game, and it's very pertinent to the conversation we're having right now. How come we kind of went away from the Travis Johnson taking snaps, the Kevin Cassis taking snaps? We had like 3 guys take snaps the last 2 weeks in a row, and also in the Griz game, did anyone take a snap besides Anderson? Like, if they did, it was minimal. Like, it was mostly the Anderson show.
I think Travis Johnson took a snap, but you're right. I think it might have been just we trust Troy to get the job done.
Well, it seemed like we really tried to, instead of like trying to get the edge in the first half and then the third quarter, we just like our edge was Travis Johnson bubble screen. Like, we ran that screenplay how many times? He had like 11 catches, right? For like 11 catches for like 101 yards. That one big play, but otherwise it was those little screen passes.
Mm-hmm.
And credit to him, like he made some moves. He didn't have a ton of room to run, but those were usually 4 to 6 yards a pop, easy, like no work whatsoever.
Yeah.
So but it was surprising to me. That was I was surprised in the first half. I thought our play calling was a little odd with Matt Miller. So I'm curious to see what kind of game plan we're going to come out with against a team that has presumably, like most of the Southland Conference teams, like quite a bit of speed on the defensive side of the ball.
I still think we come out conservative with our base stuff.
I agree, but you wonder if it's going to have any wrinkles, or if you're going to see the Griz game plan or the zone read up the middle with Fonzie, or are we going to run some more QB power stuff? Because I made this post on the Bobcat message board. Can you imagine if you're just a coach from a conference and you're like, who the hell is this Troy Anderson kid? And you turn on the film and you just watch our offense and you're just like, what am I looking at? Like, what year am I looking at right here?
Can you imagine when did Troy Anderson? He had like 7 passes, like one game this year. It was just recently too. It was some extreme low number. Like, what?
No, he had a few Chris Murray like performances. Like 3 completions, 3 of 7, 50 yards. Lighting on fire.
We had 158 passing yards this game, man. Not bad.
No, second highest total. Again, he had more against Idaho State, but it'll be interesting to see what we do, how we use Troy, the magnificent bastard. I think the Griz did a really good job of containing him. There were so many times where I thought that the hole opened up, and I'm like, oh, there's Troy running the hole, and the guy sheds his block and tackles him right at the line of scrimmage. It was pretty impressive job by some of the linebackers and the defensive linemen for the Griz, and I wonder how well a team like Incarnate Word, who has been scored a lot upon, if they're going to be able to contain Troy like that. Yeah,
it seemed like it was those plays where like, oh, Troy's gone, and then you get, he would get like a shoestring tackle, or it seemed like they had what's his name, Robbie Hauk, spying on him. I was watching Robbie. It seems like everywhere Troy was going, Robbie was. I'm pretty sure Robbie Hauk was spying on him most of the game. But yeah, they had one guy dedicated, if not 2, to Troy Anderson every play, and it seemed to work out for them.
No, and I think they just wore down because, like we talked about, we just kept doing what we do and just kept chipping away, and eventually kind of just did whatever we wanted with them. Some nice Logan Jones peppered in. He's been so valuable these last few games, and I don't know. I want to talk about your thoughts on Logan Jones, if he plays or not. I don't know if we should do that right now or wait till we're done talking about Incarnate Word, but he's been a huge part of the offense. And if he doesn't play, though, I don't know who we have who can get the edge like that.
It's a really good question. I don't have a good answer for that. I could see it going both ways. To me, I think I don't know much about his academic performance, but that seems to me that would play out. Most of it is, where's he at in school?
I thought I read somewhere on the board that he did have another year of school left, but that's, you never know. Take that with a grain of salt. But I don't know. I go back and forth on this. I'm like, yeah, it'd be awesome to have him next year, but we're also going to have probably some more dudes next year. Like you would hope Malik Barkley's coming along. You would hope Lame Sumner, Tyrell Burgess are all going to be back healthy again next year. So we're going to have a lot more speed options. We're going to have Coy Steele, who's going to have another year in his belt. Willie Patterson's going to be back healthy. So it's like, if you need a guy like Logan Jones, I know it's tough because he could have another year, but you almost want him now. Like you kind of need him in some ways because we don't have anyone else who can do what he does.
Nope. I think this game is going to be kind of like the ISU game. I just hope with a different outcome. I think I don't know anything about Incarnate Word, but the limited time I've read about them, they strike me like the ISU game. You know what? Our offense looked the best to me in the ISU game under Matt Miller, too. So I like to see that offense. I do think we're going to be able to run on them. And I honestly, I don't make predictions about scores, but I just think the confidence that was gained from last week is just going to spill over to this week, and we're just going to. I hate to say it. I'm not going to say it, but I think it's going to be good.
Well, a few interesting things. I noticed. I looked at the depth chart for Incarnate Word.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have any tight ends listed. They have an H back and a B. B back? I've never really heard of a B back. Have you?
No.
No, but I kind of read about it. I guess it's kind of like an H back. You're gonna have a big guy who's gonna be used for blocking and catching some balls out of the backfield. So,
gotcha.
But their B back, his name is Giselle Para. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but he's 6'3", 236, and their H back is 6'6", 234. So, I mean, they might as well be tight ends. They're some pretty big bodies right there. They're going to be in there to help block. So it's an interesting concept on their offense. I'm kind of curious to see how that looks.
Mm-hmm.
And a couple other things that actually I think go in their favor. For everything I hear, I heard Cho talking about it, how they get up on teams and force teams to come back on them. They've been outscored 107 to 74 in the first quarter. And I know that they played two FBS teams, and they just got smoked by both of them. They got smoked by a pretty good North Texas team and a really bad New Mexico team. New Mexico, always bad. And they also have been outscored 49 to 65 in the fourth quarter. And as you know, as we've shown, we're a very good fourth quarter team. So even if we do get down 2 scores heading into the third quarter, you still like our odds. What was the game I felt this year? Like, we were down, and I feel like we're going to come back and win this game. I can't remember what the game was. What game did we have a deficit when we came back and won besides the Griz game? What was before ISU?
Weaver?
No, it wasn't. I don't know. Anyway, it was Idaho. I'm sorry. It was Idaho. We were down like 17-7, right?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And it was just like, that's just the team. And even as far back as the Idaho game, I just felt like we can win this game. We're just waiting to strike. So you can't get down. You can't get down on the team when you're down, because the team is going to keep doing what they do. They're going to have faith in themselves and in the system and the process, and they're going to chime away, and they're going to come back, and they're going to storm back at the end. And so I think even if we're down, I think we still have that's not a bad place to be for us, but you really would like to see us get up and just take control of the game from the start, show a Southland team, a 6-4 Southland team, that this is Montana playoff football. This is how we do things.
Absolutely. I think we can. I think the momentum is starting to build. And it's just building on itself like a wave.
I hope you are correct, and that all sounds good to me, because that's a historic win, Missoula, 3 in a row, first time since the 80s. We all know how 84 went. I think the other 2 seasons sandwiched around 84 weren't that great. But hey, let's pretend that this is going to be the 84 season. You never know. You never know we're going to make a magical run, and this maybe be the kickstart for it.
Yeah, it's all about timing. If we get past this, and we got NDSU coming up, I've thought about that game today. I let my mind go down that path, and it excites me. It really does. From what I've heard, the 2 teams that NDSU had most problems with was Kennesaw State and South Dakota State. Hey, we know those guys. We're more like Kennesaw State than anything, and I don't know. Momentum builds on momentum, and talk about a chance to make a statement. Holy cow.
Yeah, I won't get too ahead of ourselves either, but I would not be looking forward to the invasion of NDSU fans on our board bitching about the buyout game. Because they'll be all over that. They have been nonstop on various message boards since we did it. So, warranted or not, they won't stop talking about it. Yeah. But anyway, Incarnate Word, I think we have a more than good shot to beat them. It's hard to always tell with the competition down the Southland. Some good teams come out of there. We fared okay against them. I know we beat Central Arkansas. No, did we beat Central Arkansas? We did.
When?
2000. Jake Bleskin, I believe. Or no, we beat Stephen F. Austin, and we lost to Central Arkansas. My gosh, can't remember anything. There was one year where we went down to Texas, and I think we lost in a big game, and we beat Central Arkansas at home back when they were like winning the conference. I don't remember, but we fared okay. Team speed, offensive speed is kind of a problem for us, as we know. If teams can steal the edge and guys get to the edge, we have big problems with that. So that's my concerns are passing the game. But I think we can come out on this because we have the athletes, we have the attitude, we have the belief, and I just think we're going to be much more physical, and it's going to be Montana football in November.
Yeah, Coach's been waiting for this. This has been his goal for so many years now. Or, 3. So many. But he's been waiting for this. And we got Ty Gragrack, who's a seasoned vet in the playoffs. I'm excited for the matchup.
Me too. Well, you got any bold predictions or over and unders or anything like that for this game? Or it's hard to say. Like with an opponent, you don't really know. You don't really know how we're going to come out and attack. It's a little bit different. I'm gonna make a bold prediction that we can keep the turnover streak rolling, and we force 2 more turnovers.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was thinking those will be interceptions. It seems like Thomas is so close to so many interceptions this year. He's dropped quite a few of them.
Well, the classic saying, like, there's a reason they play defense, right?
This is his week. Tyrell, if you're listening, I believe in you, man. You're gonna get it this week. I think Jacque will get 1 too. 2 interceptions. That's my bold prediction.
Thomas is gonna pick one, and after he's tackled, he's gonna do 5 push-ups to celebrate right in the midfield, because that's what Thomas does.
I can't piggyback on your bold prediction. My bold prediction was I'm going to revise mine. I do think we get 2 interceptions, but my bold prediction is going to be we win by more than 14.
Wow, that's pretty bold. Like, we're just not even really a team that's built for that necessarily, but I could see it totally happening in a game like this. Like, the momentum's on our side against a team that might come into a buzzsaw and being overwhelmed, so I could see that. I'm not sure I agree, but I could definitely see it.
Yeah, I hate making predictions based off of scores and whatnot, so I feel like, whatever. Okay, I'll stick with it.
Too late. It's on record.
All right.
And we'd be remiss if we didn't mention Driscoll Cat's bold prediction from last week. He said we would have 2 turnovers more than the Griz and Cat Griz, and they would be the key deciding factors. And
good job,
that's about
Shane.
the most accurate bold prediction I could see. So there you go, Shane. You were right. Congratulations. I will buy you a beer if I make it out to the home playoff game, which I might. I might be able to do that because I'll be in Montana for Thanksgiving. So
we will be staying in Spokane. We'll be going to Montana next year. So,
well, I think it's about time to wrap this up. Shall we end it like we always do?
Go Cats.
Go Cats.
All right, buddy. See you.
Grizzlies line up with a cam wide left. Same formation, the 3 tight ends right. Eastwood is the running back. Sneed, the quarterback, goes out of the shotgun. Bobcat defensive front makes a pressure, and he's down at the 1. He comes loose.